My husband stole my car and sold it for $80,000 and disappeared. I didn't call the police. He didn't know there was a GPS tracker in the car. 3 days later, he came back and begged for mercy. Good day, dear listeners. It's Clara again. I'm glad you're here with me. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end, and let me know which city you're listening from. That way, I can see how far my story has traveled. I used to think our marriage was stable. Not perfect, what marriage at our age ever is, but stable. Tom and I had been together for 42 years. We'd raised 3 children, buried both sets of parents, survived 2 recessions and 1 very expensive kitchen renovation. We had a routine: coffee at 7, Jeopardy at 7:30 in the evening, separate hobbies that kept us sane. Mine was quilting with the church ladies every Thursday. His was, well, I thought it was golf with his college buddies every weekend. I should have paid more attention. The first sign came 3 months before everything fell apart. Tom started going to the gym. At 68 years old, my husband, who hadn't exercised voluntarily since our youngest graduated high school, suddenly bought new running shoes and a membership to Planet Fitness. When I asked about it, he said his doctor recommended it for his cholesterol. It seemed reasonable. I even felt proud of him. Then came the cologne. Expensive stuff, not the Old Spice he'd worn for decades. New clothes, slim-fit jeans that looked ridiculous on a man his age, but I bit my tongue. He was trying to feel young again, I told myself. What harm could it do? The phone calls started next. He'd step outside to answer, claiming it was just Brian or the guys planning golf. But his voice would drop to a murmur, and he'd pace the driveway like a teenager hiding from his parents. When I'd walk past, he'd end the call abruptly. "Nothing important?" he'd say. "Just boring stuff." Was I supposed to interrogate my own husband? I trusted him. God help me. I trusted him completely. The morning it happened was a Tuesday. I woke up around 6:30, reached for Tom's side of the bed, and found it cold. Empty. Sometimes he woke early to make coffee, so I didn't panic immediately. I shuffled to the kitchen in my robe and slippers, expecting to smell French roast brewing. The kitchen was dark, silent. "Tom?" I called out. Nothing. I checked the garage first. His pickup truck sat in its usual spot, dusty and untouched. But the space where my car should have been, my beautiful silver Lexus RX, the one I'd bought myself after selling my mother's estate 2 years ago, was empty. Just an oil stain on the concrete and the faint smell of exhaust. My stomach dropped. I pulled out my phone and called Tom. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Voicemail. I sent a text. "Where are you? Where's my car?" No response. I stood there in the garage for what felt like an hour, but was probably only 10 minutes, trying to make sense of it. Had there been an emergency? Had someone stolen the car and Tom chased after them? But why wouldn't he call me? Why wouldn't he leave a note? I went back inside and checked everywhere. Bedroom, bathroom, his office. No note, no sign of struggle. His wallet was gone. His phone was gone. But his wedding ring sat on the nightstand beside a glass of water, exactly where he always put it before bed. He'd taken it off deliberately. That's when the fear truly set in. This wasn't an emergency. This was planned. I called our son, David, with shaking hands. "Has your father contacted you?" "Mom, it's 7 in the morning. What's wrong?" "Your father's gone, and so is my car." There was a pause. "What do you mean gone?" "I mean he's not here, David. He left sometime during the night and took my Lexus. He's not answering his phone. Maybe he just went somewhere early, an errand? Without telling me? Without his wedding ring?" Another pause. Longer this time. "I'll come over." But I told him not to yet. I needed to think. I needed to understand what was happening before involving the whole family. I sat at the kitchen table staring at my phone, waiting for it to ring. waiting for Tom to call with some reasonable explanation that would make me feel foolish for panicking. The call never came. 3 days passed like that. 3 days of silence. I called his friends. They hadn't heard from him. I called his brother in Phoenix. Nothing. I checked our bank account and felt the ground shift beneath me. $80,000 had been deposited 2 days ago. A deposit, not a withdrawal. $80,000, the exact price of a 2-year-old Lexus RX in excellent condition. He'd sold my car. I didn't cry. Maybe I should have, but the tears wouldn't come. Instead, I felt something colder settle into my chest. A numbness that spread through my limbs like frost. Tom had sold my car. My car. The one I'd bought with my own money, from my own mother's estate. The car that was titled in my name alone because I'd insisted on it after watching my sister lose everything in her divorce. I'd learned that lesson at least. Some things you keep separate, but he'd sold it anyway. Forged my signature, probably, and then he'd vanished with the money. Not with the money. The money was still in our joint account, which meant he'd sold the car, deposited the cash to avoid suspicion, and then, what? Run off with the check. Had the buyer paid cash? Had Tom moved it somewhere I couldn't see? I opened my laptop and logged into our bank account, studying every transaction from the past 3 months with the focus of an accountant preparing for an audit. There, $200 withdrawn from an ATM in Phoenix last month. Another $300 in Tucson. Small amounts, easy to miss. But we hadn't been to Arizona recently. I'd asked Tom about the Phoenix charge when I first noticed it, and he'd said his brother needed help with something. Borrowed his card. Lies. All of it. Lies. I made a list. I've always been a list maker. It helps me think clearly. On a yellow legal pad, I wrote everything I knew. Tom missing for 3 days. My Lexus sold for $80,000. Money deposited in joint account wedding ring left behind. New clothes, cologne, gym membership started 3 months ago. Secret phone calls. ATM withdrawals in Arizona. I stared at the list. The pattern was obvious now, wasn't it? How had I been so blind? There was someone else. Had to be. A man doesn't suddenly start dressing younger and sneaking phone calls because of a midlife crisis. Not at 68. This was something else. Someone else. My hands were shaking again. I pressed them flat against the table, willing them to stop. I needed to think rationally. Emotionally falling apart wouldn't help me now. Should I call the police? The thought circled my mind like a vulture. I could report the car stolen, file charges for forgery, for theft. Tom could go to prison for this. At his age, even a few years would be a death sentence. Did I want that? I didn't know. God help me. I didn't know what I wanted except for this nightmare to make sense. That's when I remembered the GPS tracker. I'd had it installed 8 months ago after my car was almost stolen from the mall parking lot. The thief had broken the window and was trying to hotwire it when security showed up. The police officer who took my statement suggested a tracker, something discreet that would help recover the vehicle if it ever actually got stolen. These Lexuses are popular targets, he'd said. Better safe than sorry. I'd paid a local shop $300 to install it. Never mentioned it to Tom because it seemed unimportant. Just another small detail in our separate lives. But now, I grabbed my laptop again and found the tracker company's website. My hands fumbled over the keyboard as I logged into my account. Please work, I thought. Please still be active. The screen loaded. A map appeared, zoomed in on a blinking blue dot. My car was in Nevada, Las Vegas, specifically. Parked at an address on the east side of the city, a residential neighborhood, according to Google Maps. The tracker showed it had been stationary for the past 18 hours. Las Vegas, of course. Where else would a 68-year-old man go to start his new life? The city of reinvention, of second chances, of cocktail waitresses young enough to be your granddaughter. I felt that cold numbness deepen. This wasn't just about the car. This was Tom burning down our entire marriage and dancing in the ashes. But he'd made one critical mistake. He didn't know about the tracker, which meant I knew exactly where he was, and he had no idea I was watching. I picked up my phone and opened the Notes app. Started a new note titled Plan. I wasn't calling the police. Not yet. This was personal, and I wanted to handle it my way. Tom thought he could steal from me, abandon me, humiliate me after 42 years of marriage. He thought I'd just accept it quietly. He was about to learn how wrong he was. The next morning, I called Patricia Hayes, the lawyer who'd handled my mother's estate. She was sharp, no nonsense, and expensive. Exactly what I needed. "Margaret," she said when her secretary put me through. "How can I help you?" I explained everything. The missing husband, the sold car, the money, the GPS tracker showing the Lexus in Las Vegas. I kept my voice steady, factual. Patricia listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then, "Do you want to pursue criminal charges?" "I don't know yet," I said honestly. "Right now, I want to know what my options are. Legally speaking, you have several routes. The car was titled in your name alone, correct?" "Yes." "Then he committed theft and likely forgery to complete the sale. That's prosecutable. You could also file for divorce on grounds of abandonment and financial misconduct. In Arizona, you'd be entitled to at least half of all marital assets, possibly more given the circumstances." She paused. "But I sense you're not calling me just for legal advice." "I want to document everything first," I said. "I want proof that will hold up in any court if it comes to that. And I want to know who he's with." Patricia's tone shifted slightly, became more careful. "Margaret, I'm your lawyer, not a private investigator, but I can recommend someone excellent if you want surveillance done properly." "I don't need surveillance. I know where the car is. I'm going to go there myself." "I'd advise against that. If this becomes a legal matter—" "I'm not going to confront him," I interrupted. "I just want to see with my own eyes what I'm dealing with. Take photographs, gather evidence. Isn't that what you'd tell me to do anyway?" She sighed. "If you're determined to go, at least take someone with you. Don't go alone." I promised I would, though I wasn't sure I meant it. After hanging up with Patricia, I called my daughter, Ellen. She was tougher than David, less likely to try talking me out of what I needed to do. "Mom, what the hell?" Ellen said when I explained. "Dad stole your car and ran off? Are you serious?" "Completely serious." "Have you called the police?" "Not yet. I want to handle this differently." "Handle it how?" "I'm going to Las Vegas to see where the car is, and I need you to come with me." Ellen was silent for several seconds. Then, "When?" "Tomorrow morning. We'll drive to Vegas, find the address, take pictures of whatever we find, and come home. 2 days maximum." "Mom, this is insane." "Maybe, but I need to do it. Will you come?" Another pause. "Yes, I'll come. But we're bringing pepper spray and staying in a hotel nowhere near wherever Dad is. And if things get weird, we're calling the police immediately." Agreed. We arranged to meet early the next morning. Ellen would drive. Her SUV was more reliable for a long trip than my old Honda that I'd barely driven since buying the Lexus. I spent the rest of the day preparing. I printed out screenshots of the GPS tracker data, the bank statements showing the $80,000 deposit, the ATM withdrawals from Arizona. I created a folder with everything organized chronologically. Patricia had been right to suggest a private investigator, but I couldn't afford one. Not with our retirement savings now potentially at risk. If Tom had been siphoning money I didn't know about, I needed to be smart about this. That evening, I checked the GPS tracker again. The car hadn't moved. Still at the same address in Las Vegas, 4782 Desert Willow Court. I pulled up Google Street View and studied the house. Single-story ranch style, beige stucco, desert landscaping, middle-class neighborhood, nothing flashy. The kind of place you'd rent if you were trying to stay under the radar. Was Tom living there? Or was someone else? My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I know you're tracking the car. My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, reading and rereading those 6 words. Another text. We need to talk. Tomorrow. Don't do anything stupid. Tom. It had to be Tom. He knew. Somehow, he knew about the GPS tracker. But how? I typed back. You stole my car. We have nothing to talk about. The response came immediately. It's not what you think. Meet me tomorrow, 2 p.m., Starbucks on Sahara Avenue in Vegas. Come alone. I didn't respond. I set the phone down and pressed my hands against my face, trying to breathe normally. He knew I was tracking him, which meant he'd either found the GPS device or someone had tipped him off. But who? The tracker company? Had he called them? Pretending to be me? It didn't matter. What mattered was that Tom knew I was coming, and he was trying to control the situation, summoning me like I was some errant child. I picked up my phone and texted Ellen. Change of plans. Dad knows I'm tracking the car. He wants to meet tomorrow in Vegas. Her response was immediate. Absolutely not. This sounds like a trap. I'm still going, I typed. But not to meet him. We'll go to the house instead. Mom, I need to see what he's hiding, Ellen. Please. After a long pause. Okay, but I'm calling David too. Safety in numbers. I didn't argue. Maybe having both my children there was smarter anyway. Tom had made his move. Now it was time for mine. We left at dawn. Ellen drove. David sat in the passenger seat, and I occupied the back, watching the Arizona desert blur past the window. The drive to Las Vegas took 5 hours. 5 hours of my children, arguing about whether I should have called the police, whether confronting their father was dangerous, whether I'd completely lost my mind. Maybe I had. But I was committed now. We arrived in Las Vegas around noon. The city sprawled before us, all glass and concrete and artificial palm trees. I directed Ellen toward the address on Desert Willow Court, my phone showing the GPS tracker's steady blinking dot. The neighborhood was quiet. Working-class homes with gravel yards and chain-link fences. Dogs barked in the distance. My Lexus sat in the driveway of 4782, looking exactly as I'd left it 3 days ago, except dusty from the Nevada wind. There it is, David said unnecessarily. We parked across the street. I stared at the house, looking for signs of life. The curtains were drawn. A second car sat beside my Lexus, a red Honda Civic, maybe 10 years old. So what's the plan? Ellen asked. We knock on the door? Yes, I said. We knock on the door. And if Dad answers? Then I get answers. I climbed out of the SUV before either of them could argue. My legs felt unsteady, but I forced myself forward. David and Ellen followed, flanking me like bodyguards. I rang the doorbell. Waited. Silence. I rang again. The door opened. A woman stood there. Younger than me by at least 20 years, mid-40s, bleached blonde hair, too much makeup. She wore yoga pants and a tank top, her eyes widening when she saw us. Can I help you? She asked. I'm looking for Tom, I said. Tom Brennan. Is he here? The woman's expression shifted. Guilt, maybe, or fear. Who are you? I'm his wife, Margaret Brennan, and that's my car in your driveway. Her face went pale. Oh, God. Mom, David started, but I held up a hand. Where is he? I asked the woman. He's not here. He left this morning. I don't know when he's coming back. Who are you? She hesitated, then seemed to crumble. Denise. We've been seeing each other for 6 months. 6 months. I felt something crack inside my chest. He told me he was divorced, Denise continued, words tumbling out. He said his wife had passed away 2 years ago. He showed me pictures of you, of her, of the funeral. He said he was selling his house in Phoenix and moving here to start fresh. I believed him. I stared at her. Pictures of my funeral. Tom had created an entire false narrative, killed me off in this woman's mind. He's a liar, I said flatly. I'm very much alive, as you can see. And he didn't sell our house. He stole my car and sold it without my permission. Denise's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. The money from the car, I said. Where is it? He gave me $20,000. Said it was a gift for letting him stay here while he looked for his own place. The rest? I don't know. $20,000. Gone. Given to this woman who'd been manipulated just as much as I had, though I felt no sympathy for her yet. That's when Tom's pickup truck pulled into the driveway. He got out, saw us standing there, and froze. For a moment, no one moved. Then his face hardened. Margaret, he said, what are you doing here? What am I doing here? I repeated. You steal my car, disappear for days, and you're asking what I'm doing here? I told you we'd talk later. I told you not to come. You don't get to tell me anything anymore, Tom. He walked toward us, and David stepped forward, blocking him. Stay back, Dad. Tom's expression twisted. Anger, embarrassment, maybe shame. This is between me and your mother. No, Ellen said coldly. You made it our business when you committed a felony. It's not like that, Tom said. The car was community property. It was titled in my name alone, I interrupted. You forged my signature. That's theft. Denise had started crying on the porch. Tom glanced at her, then back at me, and I saw something dangerous flash across his face. You need to leave, he said. Right now, or I'll call the police and report you for harassment. I almost laughed. Please do. I'd love to explain to the police how you stole and sold my vehicle. She gave me permission, Tom shouted. We talked about it before I left. She's lying to make me look bad. Really? I pulled out my phone, opened the voice recorder app I'd started when Denise answered the door. Should we listen to the recording of this conversation? The part where your girlfriend admits you told her I was dead? Tom's face went from red to white. You're recording this? Every word. He took a step toward me and David shoved him back. I said stay back. This is my life, Tom roared. You don't get to control me anymore, Margaret. I'm done. I'm done with you, with that house, with pretending I'm happy. Then file for divorce, I said coldly. Like an adult. Don't steal from me. I'll destroy you in court, he hissed. I'll make sure you get nothing. Try it. We stood there, locked in a stalemate. Then Tom pulled out his phone. I'm calling my lawyer. Right now, you're going to regret this. So am I said. Calling mine, I mean. See you in court, Tom. We left. Ellen had to practically drag me back to the SUV because my legs had stopped working properly. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving me shaky and cold despite the Nevada heat. As we drove away, I looked back once. Tom stood in the driveway, phone to his ear, watching us go. Denise had disappeared inside. Mom, David said softly, are you okay? No, I said, but I will be. We drove back to Phoenix in silence. I sat in the back seat, staring at nothing, replaying the confrontation in my mind. Tom's face when he saw us. The lies he'd told Denise. $20,000 just handed over like pocket change. Ellen dropped me off at home around 8 that evening. The house felt enormous and empty. I stood in the kitchen where I'd discovered Tom was gone just 4 days ago, and the weight of everything crashed down on me. I didn't cry. I was too tired to cry. I called Patricia Hayes and left a detailed voicemail about what we'd found, including Denise's name and address. Then I forwarded her the audio recording. Evidence, documentation. Everything I needed to prove Tom had lied, stolen, and abandoned his marriage. Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. I woke at 3 a.m. to the sound of someone pounding on the front door. My heart hammered as I grabbed the baseball bat from the closet, the one David had left here years ago, and crept downstairs. "Margaret," Tom's voice. "Margaret, open the door. We need to talk." I stood in the dark hallway, gripping the bat, saying nothing. "I know you're in there. Your car's in the garage." The Honda. Of course. He knew I had to be home. "Margaret, please, I'm sorry. I made a mistake." I walked to the door but didn't open it. "Go away, Tom." "Just let me explain." "Explain to my lawyer you're not coming in." "This is my house, too." "Then have your lawyer contact mine. But you're not coming in tonight." He pounded on the door again, harder. "You can't just lock me out of my own home." I pulled out my phone. I'd turned it back on and dialed 911. "I'm calling the police, Tom. You have 30 seconds to leave." The pounding stopped. I heard him swear, heard his footsteps retreating down the driveway. An engine started. The pickup truck pulled away. I canceled the 911 call and locked every door and window in the house. Then I sat on the couch until sunrise, bat across my lap, too wired to sleep. The next day, the text messages started. "Tom, I'm sorry. I panicked. I felt trapped. Let me come home and we'll work this out. Tom, Denise means nothing to me. It was a stupid mistake. Tom, you're overreacting. We can fix this. Tom, don't contact lawyers. We can handle this ourselves." I deleted each message without responding. Then Denise started calling. I didn't answer, but she left voicemails. "Mrs. Brennan, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. He lied to me, too. Please believe me. He's been crying all day. He says he loves you. He wants to come home. Please call me back. We need to talk about this. We're both victims here." Victims. I laughed bitterly. Maybe Denise was a victim of Tom's lies, but she'd also accepted $20,000 without questioning where it came from. That complicated her innocence. I didn't call her back either. On the third day, Ellen came over with groceries and lunch from my favorite Thai place. "You're not answering your phone," she said. "I'm taking a break from the world." "Fair enough." She unpacked the food. "But you need to eat. And David's worried." "Tell him I'm fine." "Are you?" I considered the question. "I'm functional. That's the best I can manage right now." Ellen nodded. She understood. She'd gone through her own difficult divorce 5 years ago. "The lawyer called me. She says you have a very strong case for divorce. Criminal charges too, if you want to pursue them." "I don't know what I want yet." "That's okay. You don't have to decide today." We ate in companionable silence. Afterward, Ellen insisted on staying the night. I didn't argue. Having someone else in the house felt safer. The next morning, I went to my Thursday quilting group for the first time since this started. The church ladies, Helen, Donna, Ruth, and Barbara, listened as I explained everything. When I finished, Helen reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You're stronger than he ever deserved," she said. Donna nodded. "What do you need from us?" "Honestly, just this. Normal conversation. Something that doesn't involve lawyers and recordings and stolen cars." "Done," Ruth said. She pulled out fabric samples. Now, should we go with the blue floral or the green geometric for the border? We quilted for 3 hours. I focused on the simple, repetitive motions, cutting, pinning, stitching. My mind quieted. The knot in my chest loosened slightly. This was my life, too. Not just the marriage, not just Tom's betrayal. This community, these friendships, this routine I'd built for myself. Tom had tried to steal my car, my money, my dignity, but he couldn't steal this. When I got home that afternoon, there was a letter taped to my front door. Handwritten, Tom's messy scrawl. Margaret, I know I messed up, but throwing away 42 years over one mistake, that's not you. You're kind. You're forgiving. Remember when I lost my job in '98 and you stood by me? Remember when your sister needed money and I didn't complain? We've been through everything together. Don't let lawyers destroy what we built. Come meet me tomorrow, the Starbucks on Sahara, 2 p.m. Just talk to me. Give me a chance to make this right. Tom. I read it twice. Then I tore it into small pieces and threw them in the trash. He was trying to manipulate me, appealing to my compassion, my history, my identity as a kind and forgiving person. But kindness wasn't the same as stupidity, and forgiveness required genuine remorse, not just fear of consequences. Tom wasn't sorry he'd hurt me. He was sorry he'd gotten caught. I texted Patricia. He's trying to meet without lawyers. I'm not going. Proceed with everything. Her response, good. Stay strong. I was trying. Tom showed up with Denise 6 days after I'd confronted them in Las Vegas. I was in the garden, deadheading roses, when I heard the pickup truck pull into the driveway. I straightened, still holding the pruning shears, and watched as both of them climbed out. This was new, bringing her here, to our home. They walked toward me, and I noticed Denise's body language, submissive, apologetic. Tom looked determined, his jaw set in that way he got when he'd convinced himself he was right about something. Margaret, he said, we need to talk. I told you to communicate through lawyers. This is too important for lawyers. He gestured at Denise. We both came to apologize, to explain. I looked at Denise. She wouldn't meet my eyes. You have 5 minutes, I said. Then you're leaving. Tom's expression softened. He thought he was winning. Can we sit inside? No, talk here. He sighed dramatically. Fine. Look, I know how this looks. But it's not what you think. Denise and it just happened. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't trying to hurt you. You stole my car. I borrowed it to sell it. I was going to give you the money. You gave Denise $20,000. As a loan, she needed help with medical bills. I was going to ask you about it, but you're so controlling about money. Controlling? I laughed. I'm controlling because I don't want my husband forging my signature and committing felonies. Denise finally spoke, her voice small. Mrs. Brennan, I'm so sorry. I thought he was divorced. He showed me death certificates, funeral photos. Photoshopped, I said coldly. All of it. She flinched. Tom put a hand on her shoulder, a possessive gesture that made my skin crawl. The point is, Tom continued, we all made mistakes here, but we're family. We've been married 42 years. You can't just throw that away. You threw it away when you abandoned me. I needed space. I was suffocating in this marriage, Margaret. You never let me breathe, never let me have my own life. So you lied to me for months, stole from me, and ran off with another woman. Very mature. His face hardened. See? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're condescending. You think you're better than everyone else. You've always thought that. I said nothing. I'd learned over 4 decades that arguing when Tom was in this mood was pointless. Denise shifted uncomfortably. Maybe we should go. No, Tom snapped. Then, softer, to me. Margaret, I'm offering you a deal. Drop the criminal charges you're planning. Agree to a simple divorce, 50-50 split, no lawyers bleeding us dry. And I'll sign over full rights to the house. You can keep it. All I want is my freedom and half the retirement accounts. No, no, just like that? You don't get to make demands, Tom. You committed crimes. You destroyed our marriage. And now you think you can negotiate your way out of consequences? His expression changed. The mask of reasonableness slipped, and I saw something uglier underneath. You're going to regret this. Is that a threat? It's a warning. You think you're so smart, tracking the car, recording conversations. But you have no idea what I'm capable of. I've been managing our finances for 40 years. You think you know where all the money is? You don't. My blood went cold. What does that mean? It means I've been preparing for this longer than you think. Offshore accounts, investments in my name only, cash reserves. You want to fight me in court? Fine. But you'll be fighting for scraps. Denise looked horrified. Tom, what are you? Shut up, Denise. He didn't even look at her. His eyes were locked on mine. Last chance, Margaret. Take the deal, or I'll bury you. I gripped the pruning shears tighter. Get off my property. This is my property, too. No. You abandoned it. You abandoned me. And now you're trespassing. Leave, or I'm calling the police. Tom's face flushed red. You've always been a cold, bitter woman. I wasted my life on you. And yet here you are, begging me to make this easy for you. Interesting. He stepped toward me, and I raised the pruning shears slightly, not threatening, just visible. He stopped. You'll regret this, he said again. When you're alone in this house with nothing, you'll wish you'd been smarter. I'll take my chances. Denise tugged at his arm. Tom, please, let's just go. He let her pull him away, but he kept his eyes on me the whole time. The look was pure hatred. They got in the truck and drove off, tires spitting gravel. I stood in the garden for a long time after they left, shaking. The fear was real now. Tom had hidden money. He'd been planning this for longer than I thought. And he was willing to destroy me to protect himself. But I couldn't back down. Not now. I went inside, locked the doors, and called Patricia. We need to add financial fraud to the investigation, I said. Tom just admitted he's been hiding assets. Did you record it? I'd started keeping my phone in my pocket with a recording app running whenever I was home. Yes. Good. Send it to me. Margaret, I need you to be very careful now. If he's desperate enough to make threats, I know I'm being careful. But was I? Or was I walking into something far more dangerous than I understood? I didn't sleep that night. Every sound made me jump. I kept the baseball bat beside my bed and my phone charged and ready to call 911. Tom and Denise didn't come back. But I knew this wasn't over. They'd shown their true faces. Now, I needed to protect myself from whatever came next. The deposition took place 3 weeks later in Patricia's conference room. Tom sat across from me with his lawyer, a slick man in an expensive suit who looked bored. Denise wasn't present. Apparently, she'd retained her own attorney and was cooperating with my legal team in exchange for immunity from any charges related to receiving stolen property. Smart woman. Late, but smart. Patricia sat beside me, a folder thick with documents in front of her. I'd spent the past 3 weeks working with a forensic accountant she'd recommended, a quiet woman named Sharon, who'd found things even I hadn't known to look for. Tom wouldn't look at me. He kept his eyes on the table, jaw tight. The court reporter swore him in, Patricia began. Mr. Brennan, can you explain why you sold your wife's vehicle without her knowledge or permission? Tom's lawyer interjected immediately. My client maintains that the vehicle was community property and that Mrs. Brennan had given verbal permission for the sale. Interesting, Patricia said. She pulled out a document. This is the title to the 2022 Lexus RX. As you can see, it's in Mrs. Brennan's name only. Arizona is a community property state, but titled assets remain the property of the title holder unless explicitly transferred. Mr. Brennan, did your wife ever sign a transfer of ownership? We discussed it, Tom muttered. Did she sign a transfer of ownership, yes or no? No. Did she give you written permission to sell the vehicle? It was verbal. Patricia pulled out her phone, tapped the screen. My voice filled the room. You stole my car. Then Tom's. It's not what you think. Meet me tomorrow, 2 p.m., Starbucks on Sahara Avenue. Not exactly a conversation that suggested prior permission. Tom's lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Where did you obtain that recording? Mrs. Brennan recorded it herself during a text exchange with Mr. Brennan. Arizona is a one-party consent state. Perfectly legal. Patricia played another recording, the conversation in Las Vegas with Denise, admitting Tom had given her $20,000 and claimed to be divorced. Tom's face was red now. She's twisting everything. I'm simply presenting evidence, Mr. Brennan. Patricia pulled out bank statements. Let's discuss finances. You deposited $80,000 from the car sale into your joint account. But over the following week, you transferred $60,000 to an account at Nevada State Bank in your name only. Can you explain that? I was consolidating our assets. Without telling your wife? I planned to tell her. Before or after you claimed she was dead? His lawyer held up a hand. My client denies making any such claim. Patricia slid a printed email across the table. This is correspondence from Mr. Brennan to a retirement planner in Las Vegas, dated 2 months ago. I'll read the relevant portion. My wife passed away in 2023. I'm relocating to Nevada and need to discuss beneficiary changes on my accounts. Would you like to explain this, Mr. Brennan? Tom stared at the email. That was a mistake. A draft I never sent. It was sent. We have confirmation from the retirement planner's office. In fact, she produced another document. You attempted to change beneficiaries on 3 separate retirement accounts, removing Mrs. Brennan and naming Denise Patterson instead. That's not illegal. It is when done under false pretenses with the intent to defraud your spouse of her community property rights. Tom's lawyer was flipping through his own notes, looking increasingly concerned. Patricia wasn't done. She nodded to Sharon, the forensic accountant, who'd been sitting quietly in the corner. Sharon came forward with her own folder. Mr. Brennan, Sharon said, can you explain the $47,000 withdrawal from your joint investment account 6 months ago, labeled home repairs? Tom blinked. We had the kitchen remodeled. The kitchen remodel cost $22,000. I have invoices. Where did the other $25,000 go? Expenses. I don't remember exactly. Sharon pulled out more documents. I've traced it. The money was transferred to a personal account, then used for a $15,000 diamond bracelet purchased at a Las Vegas jeweler, a $5,000 weekend stay at the Bellagio, and $5,000 in cash withdrawals. The bracelet appears in photographs on Ms. Patterson's social media account. Tom's face went from red to white. How did you— Public records and subpoenaed financial documents, Sharon said calmly. Would you like me to continue? Because I've found similar patterns going back 18 months. Approximately $73,000 total diverted from joint accounts to fund your relationship with Ms. Patterson. The room went silent. Tom looked at his lawyer, who was writing furiously on a legal pad. You've been stealing from me for 1.5 years, I said quietly. It was the first time I'd spoken since the deposition began. Tom finally looked at me. Margaret, you remodeled our kitchen with my money while secretly buying jewelry for another woman. You lied to financial planners, told your girlfriend I was dead, and tried to cut me out of retirement accounts I helped fund for 4 decades. It wasn't like that. What was it like, Tom? Explain it to me. He couldn't. He sat there, mouth opening and closing, no words coming out. His lawyer cleared his throat. I'd like to request a recess to consult with my client. Granted, Patricia said. They stepped into the hallway. Through the glass wall, I could see Tom's lawyer speaking emphatically, gesturing with his hands. Tom slumped in a chair, head in his hands. Patricia leaned close to me. They're going to want to settle. Good. What do you want? I'd thought about this for 3 weeks. The house, my car back, or full compensation for its value. Full ownership of my retirement accounts, half of his. And I want him to pay my legal fees. Criminal charges? I hesitated. Will the evidence support them? Absolutely. Theft, forgery, financial fraud. He'd likely face jail time. I watched Tom through the glass. He looked old suddenly, diminished. A 68-year-old man who'd destroyed his life chasing something he couldn't even articulate. Let's see what they offer, I said. But I want him to know the criminal option is on the table. When they came back, Tom's lawyer spoke immediately. My client is willing to discuss settlement terms. I'm listening, Patricia said. What followed was 2 hours of negotiation. Tom's lawyer tried to minimize the damage, but we had too much evidence. Tom had been caught in too many lies. In the end, they agreed to almost everything I wanted. Tom would sign over the house. I'd get my retirement accounts intact. We'd split his accounts, but I'd get 60% given the documented fraud. He'd pay my legal fees. And the Lexus, recovered from Denise's driveway by Patricia's investigator, would be returned to me with Tom covering all associated costs. In exchange, I wouldn't pursue criminal charges. Tom signed the papers without speaking. His hand shook. When it was over, Patricia escorted his lawyer and Tom out. I sat alone in the conference room, staring at the stack of documents that had just dismantled my 42-year marriage. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I just felt tired. The divorce was finalized 8 weeks later. I didn't attend the hearing. Patricia handled everything. Tom signed the papers remotely from Nevada, where he'd apparently decided to stay. I got the house. I got my Lexus back, detailed and serviced at Tom's expense. I got my retirement accounts, plus 60% of his. I got the better part of our savings. Tom was left with his pickup truck, the remaining 40% of his retirement funds, and whatever life he thought he was building with Denise. Patricia called me the day the judge signed the final decree. It's done, Margaret. You're officially divorced. Thank you. How do you feel? I considered the question. Free. And I was. The relief was physical, like I'd been carrying a heavy weight for months and had finally set it down. The house was mine now, truly mine. I walked through it that evening, room by room, seeing it differently. This wasn't the home I'd shared with Tom anymore. This was my space, my future. I started making changes immediately. The master bedroom got new paint, a soft sage green instead of the beige Tom had insisted on. I bought new bedding, new curtains. I moved furniture around, hung different art on the walls. The kitchen stayed the same. I'd always liked it, and besides, I'd paid for half of it with money Tom had stolen, so in a way, it was more mine than his anyway. I joined a book club, started taking watercolor classes at the community center, volunteered at the animal shelter on weekends, filled my time with things that made me happy instead of routines built around someone else's preferences. Ellen and David visited more often. Without Tom's presence, his moods, his demands for attention, the house felt more welcoming. My grandchildren actually wanted to stay over now. "Mom, you seem different," Ellen said one afternoon as we had lunch on the patio. "How so?" "Lighter, happier." "I am happier." "Are you dating?" I laughed. "Absolutely not. I'm enjoying being alone." And I was. For the first time in my adult life, I lived entirely for myself. No one to consult about dinner plans, no one leaving dirty dishes in the sink, no one monopolizing the TV remote. It was glorious. 3 months after the divorce, I heard through mutual friends what had happened to Tom and Denise. Their relationship had imploded within weeks of the settlement. Denise, it turned out, had been furious when she learned the full extent of Tom's lies and how he'd used her. She'd kicked him out of her house and filed a civil suit to recover the $20,000 he'd given her, claiming it was obtained through fraud. Tom was living in a cheap apartment in Henderson, Nevada, working part-time at a hardware store because his retirement funds, even the 40% he'd kept, weren't stretching as far as he'd expected. His health had deteriorated. High blood pressure, stress-related issues. I felt no sympathy. He'd made his choices, he'd gambled everything on a fantasy, and lost. Meanwhile, I was thriving. I used some of the settlement money to take my grandchildren to Disneyland. We spent a week in California, just me and the kids, making memories. They talked about it for months afterward. I renovated the guest bathroom, upgraded the landscaping, bought a new car, nothing fancy, just a reliable Honda CR-V. The Lexus held too many complicated memories. I sold it and felt nothing but relief when it drove away. My quilting group threw me a divorce party. We drank champagne, ate cake, and laughed until our sides hurt. Helen made a quilt with Margaret's Freedom embroidered on it. I cried, happy tears this time. 6 months post-divorce, I ran into one of Tom's old golf buddies at the grocery store. Brian, the one Tom had supposedly been playing golf with all those weekends. "Margaret," he said awkwardly. "I heard about the divorce. I'm sorry." "Don't be. I'm not." "Tom's been calling me, wanting to meet up. I've been avoiding him." "Why?" Brian shifted his weight, uncomfortable. "Because he lied to me, too. Told me he was playing golf with other guys, that I was the one who couldn't make it. Turns out he hadn't played golf in over a year. I feel like an idiot for not realizing." "He lied to everyone, Brian. That's what he does." "Well, for what it's worth, you seem better off without him." "I am. And I meant it. Tom had tried to destroy me. He'd stolen from me, lied about me, betrayed me in every possible way. But I'd fought back. I'd documented everything, built an ironclad case, and won. The house was mine. My finances were secure. My future was my own. Tom was alone in a cheap apartment, estranged from his children, abandoned by the woman he'd thrown everything away for, working a minimum wage job at 68 years old. Poetic justice, some might call it. I called it consequences. 1 year after the divorce, I sold my quilts at a local craft fair and donated the proceeds to a women's shelter. The volunteer coordinator asked if I'd serve on their board. I said yes immediately. That's how I met Richard, a retired accountant, 70 years old, widowed for 5 years. We bonded over budget discussions and fundraising strategies. He made me laugh. We started having coffee after meetings. It wasn't romance. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But it was companionship. Someone who respected my intelligence, who didn't try to control or diminish me. "You're good at this," Richard said one afternoon. "You should consider nonprofit work full-time." "I'm 70 years old. Isn't it too late for a career change?" "Margaret, you just dismantled your ex-husband's entire fraud scheme and won one of the most lopsided divorce settlements I've ever heard of. I think you can handle anything." He was right. I started consulting for small nonprofits, helping them organize finances and develop sustainability plans. It wasn't about money. I didn't need it. It was about using my brain, contributing something meaningful. My grandchildren started calling me Grandma Boss. Ellen got a promotion at work, crediting our conversations during the divorce. "You showed me it's okay to demand what you're worth," she said. David reconciled with his ex-wife for better co-parenting. "I saw what bitterness and dishonesty did to Dad," he explained. "I don't want that for my kids." My life was full, rich, meaningful. And Tom's? I heard updates periodically from mutual acquaintances who couldn't help themselves. Tom had been fired from the hardware store for showing up drunk. He found another job, night security at a warehouse, barely enough to cover rent and court-ordered child support he'd been dodging for years. Denise had won her civil suit. Tom owed her $20,000 plus interest and legal fees, $25 a month. At that rate, he'd be paying until he was 90. His health declined. A minor heart attack at 69 landed him in the hospital. David visited once and reported that Tom looked terrible, gray, thin, aged beyond his years. "Did he ask about me?" I'd asked, then immediately regretted it. "He said to tell you he's sorry." Noted. I didn't visit, didn't call. Some people might call that cruel. I called it boundaries. Tom's brother emailed once, "Margaret, whatever he did, he's still family. I'm asking you, as a Christian woman, to forgive him." I responded politely. "I've forgiven him in the sense that I'm no longer angry. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. Tom made choices. He's living with consequences. That's not my responsibility to fix." I never heard back. Meanwhile, my life kept improving. I traveled, a river cruise through Europe, visited Ellen in Seattle, helped David with his new house. I learned to play bridge, started a small investment portfolio with Richard's guidance. I bought a dog, a golden retriever named Charlie, who followed me everywhere. The house didn't feel empty anymore. On the 2-year anniversary of the day Tom stole my car, I threw a party. We celebrated not the divorce, but survival, resilience. Helen raised her glass. To Margaret, who taught us all that it's never too late to fight for yourself. Later, cleaning up, I stood in the kitchen where this had all started, where I'd discovered Tom was gone and my life had been a lie. But I wasn't that woman anymore. That woman had been frightened, uncertain. This woman, me now, knew the answer. I was strong enough for anything. So that's my story. My husband stole my car, disappeared with another woman, and thought he'd won. He was wrong. I learned that self-respect matters more than preserving a broken marriage, that it's never too late to fight for yourself, even at 70, that consequences teach the lessons some people refuse to learn any other way. Tom gambled everything on lies and lost. I reclaimed my life and won. What would you have done? Would you have forgiven him, called the police immediately, or fought back? Leave a comment, share your story, subscribe if this resonated. Remember, you're stronger than you think. Thank you for listening.